In this video, we'll be going over Matsit, MM03, and MM60. In Matsit, I will show you how to set up a search variant in order to search local slokes. We'll go over auto replenishment and how to turn that on and off. We will set bench stock indicators and locally repairable indicators. I'll briefly talk about safety stock and reorder points. I will not get into how to set those in this video because that will be in a later video dealing with demand analysis. And then we will create, name, and delete a bin. Then we'll move on to MM03 and I'll show you the comparison with FedLog data and how to find aviation data or 2410 yes or no indicator. After that, we'll move into MM60. I use this for mass pricing info, and I will make that usable by teaching you an Excel VLOOKUP formula, and then we'll cap it off with a situational exercise. Okay, so now that we're in GArmy, first thing we're going to do is go to Matsit. This is the T code down here. I will put this in the description. It's kind of hard to remember. Set it as a favorite. Actually, you know what? Let's show how to set favorites real quick. So you got favorites here at the top. You want to go to insert transaction and then type in the transaction code here, and it'll add it to your favorites list. I can also export this favorites list, and I will make this available in the comments as well. So let's call this favorites. And I'll add this to the comments so you can download it. Alright, so let's get into Matsit. What we're going to do now is we're going to set a variant in order to search all of the slokes within a given brigade. So obviously I'm going to use 25th Cab. So in order to set a variant, basically you just set up the T-code screen the way you want it to be every time you enact your variant. So for Matsit, I'm going to click this one, Materials Management View. For plant, I'm going to put both 2000 and 2001 because I want to search my local SSA as well. In the storage locations, I'm going to just input all of the slokes for 25th Cab. To include the SSA and our local LRC. And then, so this is set up the way I want. I don't want material number to be in here because that is going to be my variable every time I load my variant. And I also want to leave this display 0 stock rows unchecked because by my default I want to have this not to show, and if I want to change it later I will. So next thing you do is you go to variants, and then you want to do save as a variant and give it a name. So let's do 25th Cab. And then I'm just gonna do the description as the same exact thing. And then I'm going to save. So now when I want to recall it, I go into Matsit and then type in my variant name, and there it is. It's loaded. Okay, so the next thing that I want to show you is how to turn your auto replenishments on and off. So we're going to bring up my Matsit, and I'm not going to give it a material number. I'm just going to run it wide open. Okay, so now that my Matsit is pulled up, you can see this column here. It says replenishment off. So the X in the block here means that you don't have replenishments turned on for that item. So in order to turn replenishments on, you right click and you go down to this turn replenishment on off, and it brings up the material number, the plant, and the S-loc, and then it's got a little radial button here for you to do either one. So turn replenishment off, or actually this one was already off, but you get the idea. So let's try that again. Turn replenishment on, updated, back to Matsit, and if we refresh it, now it's replenishments are on, but I had that off for a reason, so let me change that back. Okay. You can also highlight all of your items and do the same thing. You can also export your Matsit to Excel and copy all of your NINs, and then when you go into the toggle screen, you can paste them in your multiple selection using the clipboard. I'm not going to do that right now, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set our bench stock indicator and our locally repairable indicators. So when you go through and you set items for bench stock, the system knows if it qualifies to be bench stock. Now, why it didn't just, whenever you bring something onto your Matsit, if it knew it was bench stock or not, it would automatically indicate it. I don't know. That's a great idea, and I think maybe we should put some tickets in to see if we can make that default, because it's kind of a pain to go through your entire Matsit and denote which is bench stock. Which, when we get to demand analysis, that's one of the preparatory instructions, is to set all your bench stocks. Unfortunately, this also has to be done one by one. So if you have a couple thousand lines, which I'm willing to bet all of you do, you have to individually go through each line and indicate if it's bench stock or not. It's not fun. So how you would do this is you have your line, and then you go to ZBSU by right clicking and click these two buttons here, and if it qualifies, it will take it. See, this dialog block shows criteria not met for bench stock change, so it didn't change it. You can also set locally repairable indicator in here, and I bet you that this one will take. So it throws up some messages here, and I'm not going to go through with that. Okay, so if I go to one that I know is bench stock and I know will take it, let me just I'll update it that it's not bench stock, and then now I will update that it is bench stock. Okay, so that's how you turn on the bench stock and the locally repairable, all in the T-code ZBSU, or you can get there from Matsit by right-click. Can also change the storage bin location to whatever I want. I'm not going to save this, but as soon as I hit execute, it would change whatever location this is currently in to the words change loc. So that can be helpful if you're moving stuff around the warehouse. So now anytime you PGR something, it will appear on your Matsit. So things don't always go to locations. Let's say that I want to create a location. So this screw is on my Matsit, but it doesn't have location. So it's something that needs to be issued to a work order. But if I did want to say stock this, so currently it means I don't have a stock location for this screw. But if I wanted to create one, I would just hit update storage bin here, and I would name it whatever I wanted to. So that's how you would create a location. And if I wanted to get rid of a location, I would do the same, and I would just leave that blank. I'm not going to do any of that to my Matsit though. So yeah, that's Matsit. I'm going to go ahead and export this to Excel for a later for our situational exercise. Okay, so now we're going to go over MM03, which is pretty much just fedlog. We have our Matsit over here. So if I wanted NIN information from this NIN, so if I wanted material information from this NIN, I can just copy it from here, and then I can pick what I want to look at. Let's look at aviation data. Okay, so this has a lot of helpful information here. You got your material number, your nomenclature, unit of issue, SCMC is class of supply, your MATCAT, acquisition advice code, maintenance recoverability code, serial number indicator. This is not serialized. Let's see, weight, volume. A lot of times it'll have box dimensions here, which is really helpful for shipping. Let's see what else. Okay. The other big thing that we want to see is this aviation 2410 indicator. It also has CSI information. This is not a 2410 item. Let me see if I can find. Okay, so you can see that this has it's a CSI, so this is a mass base for 64. So it's got CSI, yes, it's got the MDS right here, and then it's got 2410 indicator, yes. Okay, so the next T code we're going to go over is MM60. So say you have a list of nins and you need to find the price data for them. You're going to come to MM60. The other way you could do this is you could do a fedlog batch search, but I will tell you this is way faster. So let me copy the list of nins here. I'm going to create a new sheet in order to teach you the VLOOKUP formula. So copy these nins here, go to multiple selection, clipboard, execute that, execute this. Okay, so it gives me the pricing data on all of these items here. I'm going to export this to Excel. Text. So what I can do is I can copy all of my results here and I can paste them in another sheet, and then I can use VLOOKUP in order to search for my price. So I have my list of nins here, and I want to return the price value in this block. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a search area. I'm just going to name it table. And then when I go back in here, I want to tell it to look up for this value in table name table, and I want it to return value in column 2, and I want it to be an exact match. So now I've used VLOOKUP to return all the pricing data for all the nins that I wanted to find, and then you can format it however you want. Make a currency if you want. You can have Excel do the sum. You can do like a you could do like a quantity, sort of deal. Sorry, I'm just using random numbers. And then you could do something like this. It's just basic Excel. Nothing crazy. Okay, for our situational exercise, you're going to, given a list of nins, we're going to search our local brigade to include the SSA, and we're going to create an Excel table listing the location and quantity that each SLOC has to offer, and then we'll get the pricing data as well. So we're going to start off with Matsit. We are going to load our variant. And we will have a list of nins. Okay, I'm just going to keep it short.
Okay, so multiple selection. You want to paste the nins. You want to execute. And then I'm going to export this to Excel. Move this over. Okay. I'm just going to clean up all the stuff that I don't need. We'll say we don't have pricing data.
This, just to keep it simple, I'm going to create different tables for each SLOC. And then I want equals v lookup for this table array ASB column index 3 false. And then for the quantity. Oops. My bad. Of locations and quantities for all of these NINs within a given brigade, and then if I wanted to also get the price data, I'd go back to MM60. And I could get the price data for all of these NINs here. Okay, so now we're going to go back, and I'm going to show safety stock and reorder points on Matsit. So these two columns here on Matsit, one is safety stock, one is reorder point. It's important to know that only your PD items, meaning non-demand supported, typically bench stock, will have a safety stock number. And your ZV, your demand supported shop stock items, will have a reorder point. They're essentially the same thing. Actually, if somebody watching this knows the difference, please let me know. But you can see here, this PD item has a safety stock level of 120. It's a Zeus fastener. That makes sense. And anytime that my quantity stock on hand dips below this number, it will order it in order to bring it up to this safety stock number, as long as your replenishments are on. With your ZV items, when you dip below the reorder point, if that item has replenishments on, it will order in order to bring it up to its reorder point stock value. So I have 1, my reorder point's 1. If I issue this out, it'll order 1 in order to fill that that stock line. In this video, we'll be going over Matsit, MM03, and MM60. In Matsit, I will show you how to set up a search variant in order to search local slocs. We'll go over auto replenishment and how to turn that on and off. We will set bench stock indicators and locally repairable indicators. I'll briefly talk about safety stock and reorder points. I will not get into how to set those in this video because that will be in a later video dealing with demand analysis. And then we will create, name, and delete a bin. Then we'll move on to MM03, and I'll show you the comparison with FedLog data and how to find aviation data or 2410 yes or no indicator. After that, we'll move into MM60. I use this for mass pricing info, and I will make that usable by teaching you an Excel VLOOKUP formula, and then we'll cap it off with a situational exercise.